Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're doing well. Welcome to another video, and welcome to my biggest unhaul yet. I don't like giving away my books, but it is time. I have run out of room on all 4 of my shelves, and I have to just let some stuff go. It's a hard thing for me to do. It's taking all of my willpower not to yank them all back and say I need them all, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. So I have quite the stacks of books here. Some of them I have read, some of them I haven't. Books I'm deciding to just let go because I know I'm not going to read them, and books that I have read and just don't feel like I'm ever going to reread, so I can let them go. So I'm going to start with some books that I plan on giving to some friends, but will be unhauling from my shelves, and then books that are going to be donated to my job. So let's do it. All right, this stack of books is going to Mel over at Completely Melanie. So I'm going to just show you what I decided to unhaul, and then she wanted these ones. So the first one here I have is One Small Sacrifice. It's a thriller by Hilary Davidson. This is actually an ARC, and I took this home just due to the fact that we can't sell them at the store. So usually when they come in, we tend to take them home. And this one was no exception. I just don't think I'm going to get around to this anytime soon. I have a ton of thrillers on my shelves, more thrillers than I usually read, and so I just don't think I'm ever going to be pulled to pick this one up. So I have decided to unhaul this one. It does look really good, and hopefully Mel will really enjoy it. Another ARC for a thriller, mystery, horror. I'm not really sure which genre this goes into, but it's The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher. Again, this one looks really good. It looks really ominous and scary, just not a book that I think that I'm going to get around to reading. For a lot of the books that I have read, that's pretty much the case. I just don't think that I'll ever get around to reading them, or I'm not interested in them anymore. This one is not that I'm not interested in it, I just don't think that I'll read it. So again, this one's going to Mel. Alright, here's a book that I did read, and that is Unbirthday by Liz Braswell. This is one of the books in the Twisted Tale series. I talked about it in my November wrap-up. I just really didn't enjoy this book. I was hoping for a lot more from this book than what I got, and it definitely felt like more of a sequel than a retelling or a Twisted Tale, so I didn't enjoy the original Alice story. I didn't enjoy this one, and I'm hoping that Mel will enjoy it more than I did. Same thing goes for The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin, a book that I read for the Shelf Space Book Club when I was co-hosting. And again, it is a book that I really hope that Mel enjoys. I think that it could be a really awesome book for a lot of people. It just didn't work for me. The audiobook was fantastic and really great. The book itself just wasn't for me. And hopefully it'll go to a home that is well-deserving and will love it and cherish the book, because I won't. And the last book going to Mel is Orphan Island by Laurel Snyder. I really wish that they wouldn't put these like award stickers on there, because they always end up getting stuck in the bookshelves and then getting a little funky. But I picked this up ages ago at Costco one day, and I really thought that I was going to get around to reading it, but I had it on I think 2 TBRs, and I just haven't been pulled towards picking it up. It is a middle grade. It does sound good. It just doesn't seem like a book that I'm interested in anymore. But hopefully, again, Mel will enjoy it, and it'll be something that she will really love, because I know that she reads a good amount of middle grade, so hopefully this will be right up her alley. All right, these next books are for Clint from Reed's Readers, so he's gonna take these ones. And the first one I have here is Little. This is by Edward Carey. I believe this is a historical fiction horror book. It's an advanced reader's copy, again, just not one that I don't think I'll ever get around to reading. I picked it up and took it home on a whim due to the fact that it was an ARC, but historical fiction and horror are not my genres, so I really don't know what I was thinking when I picked this up, but hopefully him and the boyfriend will really enjoy it. Another ARC that is a mystery ARC, it's The Dark Side by Belinda Bauer. Again, another book I just don't think that I would ever get around to reading. It looks good. I love a good blue book, and it looks very ominous and scary. Sometimes I just have to be honest with myself and know that I'm just not going to read them, so I'm giving this one to him as well. Then we have my paperback copy of The Lion King by Ruth Ware. I ended up getting a hardcover, and I prefer hardcovers way more on my shelves than paperbacks, so I don't need a second copy on my shelves. And this is one that he was interested in reading, so I'm gonna hand this off to him. I do still have a big interest in reading this book. I just didn't need this copy. Same thing goes for Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I do now own 2 copies of this book. I was actually gifted the paperback version of this book from a subscriber of mine, so thank you so much for that. But I picked this one up used at the store, and I just picked it up because I hadn't seen it come in used, and I excuse me, and I really wanted to read the book. But now that I got the original edition that I had wanted, I'm going to be giving this one away, and Clint really wanted to read it, so it's now his. This is also the same example for The Last Mrs. Parrish. I ended up picking up a really gorgeous hardcover edition of this book. It is a completely different cover, not even close to the one that's on this one, and I love that one so much more, so I did not need, again, another copy. So I will be unhauling this one and giving it to Clint. He does want to read it, and I think Sterling wants to read it too, so it's perfect. It'll go to a home, somebody that really wants it. And the last one that I'm giving to Clint is Cata Expanse by J.M. Fergeron, and I really wanted to read this book, but it just so happens to be the second book in a series, and I just have no interest in picking up the first book just so I can read the second book. I have done this a couple of times in my bookshelves, and it just seems like a pointless thing to do. I feel like why waste the money if I don't know if I'm gonna love it? I tend to try to only buy the first books in a series before I buy the second ones. Not always the case, but this is just one that I don't feel like buying the first one for. So Clint is going to take this off of my hands and hopefully really enjoy it. Okay, so the next set of books are just going to be books that I am giving to the store. Some of these I have read, most of these I feel like I haven't, but we'll go through them as they come up. The first two I'm going to talk about are books that were on my TBR from December that I didn't get around to reading, so I decided to unhaul them instead of taking a punishment for them. And the first one being A Reunion of Rivals by Reese Ryan. This is a Harlequin romance. I at one point wanted to read this, but I just have no desire to read this now. It's not piquing my interest or suiting my fancy, so I'm just going to unhaul it and make room for other things on my shelves that I want to read more. The next one is Defiance by CJ Redwine. This book was on my These Books Will Self-Destruct in 12 Months video, and I've had it on I think 3 different TBRs and still haven't gotten around to reading it. I think that's just a sign that I just don't want to subject myself to it. The reason I put it on my These Books Will Self-Destruct in 12 Months video was because my sister recommended me or gave me another book that I really didn't enjoy, and so I was really nervous and scared to pick this up, and so it really hindered my experience to want to read it, and so therefore I just never picked it up, and now I'm just saying I'm not going to. It's fine. I'm gonna let it go. The next one I'm going to talk about is a book that I did read and did not enjoy, and that is Mermaid Moon by Suzanne Kokel. We did read this for my book club, I believe in July, I think, and I didn't like it. It is a gorgeous book. The sprayed edges, the inside of the dust jacket, like the actual hardcover book is stunning, but the inside did not match the outside. I really didn't enjoy this. It was very flat. The writing wasn't great. I didn't like the storyline, and it just felt really underdeveloped. So unfortunately, I didn't love this. Hopefully, the person that gets this and is rehomed will enjoy it more than I did. The next one I have here is Into Dust by BJ Daniels. It is a mass market cowboy romance. I don't know why I picked this up. I think it was gonna get donated, and I was like, oh, why? I might read it, I might like it. I don't know why I did that to myself. I'm not gonna read it. So I'm just gonna let it go. Up next, we have The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I did enjoy this classic. I gave it a 3-star. I think it was a really interesting book to reread. I just don't see myself ever rereading it again. It was a one-time rereading experience, and not gonna happen again. The first half of the book was really interesting. The second half of it was really boring, and I was very zoned out and spaced out, but I do think I enjoyed it more than the rest of the classics that I have read, so awesome for that. Just not a book that I see myself ever rereading again. The child upstairs is on a rampage, so I'm sorry if you can hear that, but we're just gonna keep on pushing. Up next, we have Sisters by Choice by Suzanne Mallory. Again, another book that has been on my These Books Will Self-Destruct in 12 Months video that I just never got around to reading. And after thinking about it, I just don't think that I'm ever going to pick this up. I did, I think my grandma bought this for me for Valentine's Day at Ralph's, and it sounded good when we were in the store. It just doesn't seem like something I will want to pick up now. If I ever change my mind and decide to read it, I can always pick it up via ebook or audiobook, but it's just not something that I see myself picking up anytime soon. Up next, we have 2 graphic novel advanced reader copies that I don't know why I brought them home. I'm not going to read them. The first one is Mallory and Bored. This looks like a middle grade graphic novel. It's not a graphic novel, I'm sorry. It is a middle grade kid book that has illustrations in it. I wouldn't necessarily think this is actually middle grade. It looks more kids, but I don't know why I brought it home. I'm not going to read it. So I was just kidding myself there. I'm going to let it go. This one is actually a graphic novel, and I was interested. I think the art style looks really cute. It looks like a simple read. However, it is the 3rd book in a series, and I'm not about to buy the first 2 just so I can read this one. So I'm gonna let it go. This is called Stone Rabbit by Eric Craddock. Deep Space Disco. Interesting, but not interested in it. All right, here we have another classic that I did read and it was okay. It's Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. I don't remember if I gave this a 2 or 3 star. Regardless of the point, it was okay. It was good for a rereading experience. I did read this in high school. I remember enjoying it in high school, and it's not that I didn't love it now, I just didn't get it. I spent a lot of time in high school. I took AP classes, so I had to spend a lot of time like really analyzing the book and trying to understand the deeper meanings behind it, and I just didn't want to do that this time, so I feel like it went over my head. And it just wasn't my favorite thing that I ever read, so I'm gonna let it go. Alright, we're gonna talk about these as a whole because they are a whole series, well, half of one at least, and that's the Series of Unfortunate Events series. I have the first 8 books here. I did read these for a 24-hour readathon, and I think that my experience while reading them was really awesome and really great, but I just don't see myself rereading these ever again. I'm happy that I read them, and I'm glad that I experienced the first 8 books in the series, but I would like to give these to somebody that's really going to enjoy them, so I'm going to be passing these along, and I will definitely continue out the series. I want to read 9 through 13 and see how the series concludes, but I just don't need to reread them ever again, so off they go. All right, this is the point in my unhauling experiences that I was starting to get really honest and brutal with myself, and I just needed to let some things go that I knew I was never going to reread. The first one being All the Right Places by Jennifer Niven. As you can see, I did tab this book. I think I gave up at the very tail end because I was just over it and I didn't want to tab it anymore. And I enjoyed the book. I gave it a 3 star. I think it was a middle of the road book. I had a lot of issues with the storyline and the pacing, but overall, it was quite sad at the very end. It really did get me in the feels, and I was sobbing like a big old baby. But I just don't think that is valid enough for me to want to keep it, even though I know I'll never reread it. So I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna be strong, and I'm going to say I don't need it, and I'm going to let it go. Let it go. Up next, we have Spilling Clarence by Anne Ursu. This is an advanced reader's copy. Again, I have so many of these that I just don't think I'm going to read. This looks like historical fiction to me, and it does not look like something that is something that I would enjoy. So I'm just gonna pass it right back along, and we'll probably end up just giving this to the girls that work there, see if anybody else wants to read it. If not, then we will recycle it because you're not supposed to resell these. So I don't want to be adding to the issue with arcs, but I don't want it. Another arc, and that is A Dive from Clawson's Pier by Anne Packer. Just again, not something that I want to read. I'm sure it's amazing. It looks like it's a debut book that was released, I have no idea when, but I don't want to read it. Alright, this next one was really hard for me to decide to let go, but that was A Phoenix First Must Burn by Patrice Caldwell. It is an anthology with 15 awesome authors. It just wasn't a book that I loved, and I'm sad that I didn't love it because I had high hopes for this. This was on my 5-star predictions list, and it just didn't quite make it there. I like the idea of this book. I like the fact that it's Black Girl Magic. It's written by 15 really awesome Black women, and the female empowerment that's in this book is fantastic. I just didn't love the total outcome of it. It was really hard for me to connect to each story, and I'm really hoping that this will fall into the hands of somebody that really, really enjoys it because it is a really awesome present premise for a book. It just wasn't my favorite. Alright, this is a book that I read and really enjoyed, but always had the intention of unhauling it. It's not a book that I see myself rereading, and that is Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Rawls. This is a middle grade book about a kid who wants hunting dogs, and he does get them, and his story just divulges from there. It's a really, really good story. It's very sad. I cried like a big old baby when I read it, and it was really good, but I just don't see myself rereading it, so I'm gonna let it go. Again, this is another book that I wanted to keep because I kind of wanted to have all of his books on my shelves, but if it's not something that I loved and I didn't want to reread it, I don't see why I'm keeping it, and so I'm gonna unhaul The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I think that the movie was better. As mean as that sounds, I read the book after I watched the movie, and I think that did me a disservice in regards to this particular book, and so I just didn't enjoy my reading experience. I gave it a 3 star. It was very disappointing because I remember loving the movie, and I just didn't love the book. I cried, yes, but again, we've talked about this. This is not a real indicator of whether or not a book is good or not. I can cry at the drop of a dime, so I'm just going to say that it wasn't my favorite and give it to somebody that hopefully will enjoy it. Alright, the next one I'm going to talk about is Amityville Horror, A True Story by Jane Anson. I wanted to read this, but I think the hype that my coworker gave me about this book was the true reason that I bought it, and I don't think I'll ever actually pick it up. And if I did, it would probably be in October, and I just don't want to keep this around that long with the hopes that I'll read it. So I'm gonna let this go. This is a true story. It's supposed to be one of the scariest books ever written. And as you guys know, I'm not a huge horror reader. I'm a big old scaredy cat, so this probably wasn't a book that was gonna get read to begin with, but now I'm officially saying I'm gonna let it go. The next two books are books that I picked up because I wanted to read the authors that are really popular in the store, but I don't think these were the best options for me to choose. I think that I could have chosen some other options, and I probably will, so I'm gonna let these ones go. The first one being John Stanford, and this is Phantom Prey. This was being donated, so that's the reason why I decided to pick it up, but I just don't see myself reaching for it anytime soon, so I really don't think that I need it. And if I ever want to read a John Stanford book or the next author, I can just pick it up on audiobook or ebook and read it that way and decide whether or not I like the author to begin with. Again, James Patterson was going to get donated, so this is the reason why I took this home. But this is actually a James Patterson and David Ellis co-written book, and I wanted to read something that was just specifically James Patterson, so I decided to pass on this. I don't think that I'll pick it up anytime soon, but there are a ton of options for James Patterson, so I will start elsewhere. Okay, I did read An Unwanted Guest by Shirley Lapina, and I just didn't love it. I gave it a 3-star. It was a pretty middle-of-the-road book. I don't think that it was necessarily bad. It just wasn't very good either. I just felt that it was really predictable and super, like, generic. And so for that reason, I just didn't love it. I think that if this is your first foray into mystery, I think that you would probably enjoy this. I just felt that it was pretty predictable and right on the nose. So I'm going to give it to somebody else that can hopefully enjoy it more than I did. I love when I say that because I say that a lot in this video, but it's the truth. I do want somebody else to read this, take this home, and enjoy it. I didn't. So there you go. All right, the next book that I have on here is a book that I have kept on my shelves for quite a long time, with like kind of teetering on the edge of, am I going to keep it? Am I going to unhaul it? Am I going to reread it? Probably not. And that is The Other People by C.J. Tudor. I think I might ask Sharon, my good friend, if she wants this, because I think I saw this on her Amazon wishlist, but I just don't think that I will ever reread this book. I think that it was a good experience. I enjoyed the paranormal aspects of this. I wish that it had a little bit more closure on the paranormal aspects, but overall, the book was good, kept me guessing, and I really enjoyed it. But I just don't see myself rereading it, so I'm going to pass it off to somebody else. I'm going to ask Sharon if she wants it first, and then I will take it to the bookstore if she is not interested. So there's that. All right, the last 4 books I'm going to talk about are all books that I have read, and I've just decided I'm not going to reread them, so let's let them go. The first one being As Old as Time by Liz Braswell. This is one of the books in the Twisted Tales series. I just don't see myself rereading this. I think that it was a fun experience. I like the Twisted Tales. I just don't think that they're reread like worthy. We'll see if any of the other ones change my mind, but I have yet to read one that is a 5-star read. So I'm really just, gonna give this a new home, somebody that's going to love it, because I know every time that these books come into the store, they sell like that. So I'm sure somebody else will find this and be really happy about it. Next up is Let Me Hear a Rhyme by Tiffany D. Jackson. I read this as a buddy read with Gabriel, and we both kind of felt middle of the road about this book. I think the author was trying to do a little bit too much and swish it all into one reading experience, and it just didn't serve the book very well. I like the premise of this book. I like the idea behind helping somebody's memory live on after they've passed away, but I just think that she could have focused on one specific aspect of the book, and it would have made the book a little bit more impactful. So I didn't love it. I gave it a 3-star. I will definitely try out some more of her work. This just wasn't my favorite. Another Twisted Tale is Going Out the Door, and that is Reflection by Elizabeth Lim. Again, really enjoyed this. This is probably my second favorite out of the Twisted Tales that I have read so far. I really liked the Beauty and the Beast one, and I really liked the Mulan one, but I think the Beauty and the Beast was just slightly better. But overall, I just, again, don't see myself rereading it, and I want to give it to somebody that's going to love it. And finally, the last book that we're going to talk about is Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. I really contemplated not giving this away because it just feels really nostalgic to me to have these books, but I don't ever see myself rereading this series again. It is very basic YA contemporary romance. It's not anything special. It's not the creme de la creme, and it's just not something I can see myself rereading after I finish out the series. I only have one more book left, and then I'll be done. And I think that, that's a good a good indicator that I just don't need to keep it. So I'm gonna let it go and say goodbye to all of these seemingly wonderful books. A lot of these books were really good. I'm just giving them a new and better home. So that is the end of this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you also have issues letting go of books and unhauling, please let me know down in the comments below. I want to feel like I'm not alone. I'm not the only book hoarder in the world. But let me know if you read any of these books, what you thought of them. I would love to know. Or if you I think that there are any books that I absolutely have to keep that I haven't yet read, please feel free to let me know. You might sway my decision, but we will see. If you've made it to the end of this video, leave a embarrassed emoji, because I'm embarrassed that I couldn't get rid of more books. But that is the end of this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave. And of course, leave any comments, questions, suggestions in the comment section below. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!